Welcome to the Advisor Summit, the podcast where financial advisors gain analytical insights and tactical strategies from the industry's top minds. The new episode is starting now. Today's guest is Greg Bogich, CEO of AcquireUp. Greg brings over 2 decades of experience across fintech, media, and marketing, and has built a reputation for turning data into real, measurable growth. At AcquireUp, he's helping financial advisors rethink how they approach seminar marketing, moving from guesswork to true performance-driven strategy. Please welcome Greg to the Advisor Summit.
Hi, Greg. Welcome to the Advisor Summit. We are so excited to have you on. And as a friend and such a leader in this industry, I'm excited to hear what you have to say and kind of lead us in this whole sphere of seminars and all that it can do for advisors. So welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Perfect.
Always good to do it with a friendly face.
Yeah, mostly friendly. So just wait. You might get some hard-hitting questions, but for the most part, pretty friendly. So but kind of tell us your role about that you've kind of gotten into it with AcquireUp and LeadJig, and kind of tell us how you got here.
Yeah, I'm the CEO of AcquireUp, and AcquireUp is actually the merger of 2 different companies, one called White Glove and one called AcquireDirect/LeadJig. These were 2 seminar marketing companies. One in White Glove was the largest digital seminar marketing company, and the other one was the largest direct mail and omni-channel seminar marketing company. So those 2 companies merged it'll be 3 years ago this November. And I was brought on right about the same time those companies were merging to kind of lead the integration and lead the new formed company.
Yeah, amazing. And I think what you've built has been incredible. And we've seen it over the last couple of years just really take ownership of this space and really be so successful in what you're doing. So what kind of problem in the marketing advisory world frustrated you enough to really build what you've built today with the team?
I think if you look at this industry, you find advisors are very good at servicing customers or consumers, but they're not really good at building a growth engine. They're kind of inconsistent about how they approach it. It's try this, try that. And the need for a system or a process that's supported by data is really what we thought the need was. That in the fact that, as a combined company, omni-channel, we could both combine digital and direct mail in a way that's just never been done before. We thought that those were pretty significant voids in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen that. I mean, we've seen digital come and take a space even just in our own data analytics, in which we obviously are very pro data, but it's become really a part of the channels. It's not old school anymore, as much as people want to say that, but it is a huge piece of the puzzle, especially dinner seminars and now with educational as well. But only about 10% of advisors in general are doing seminar marketing. Why do you think that is?
I will give you a politically correct
No,
answer.
I don't want PC. No, give it to us for real.
Look, by the way, the 10% number you just threw out there, I will throw another 10% number at you. There are only 10% of advisory firms growing at north of 4% a year.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about organic. I'm not talking about benefiting by the market going up. But I'm going to guess that the 10% that are running seminars, there's significant overlap with the 10% that are growing at net 4% plus.
Yeah.
I tend to think that so many advisories don't know how to grow. And regrettably, there's a number of advisories that don't even care to grow. They are in lifestyle businesses and pretty comfortable, working 3 to 4 days a week. And, that's the business that they've chosen.
Yeah, and it's true. There's not a one size fits all, and I think that that's what the beauty of this industry is you can kind of be selective about how you want to grow and if you want to grow. But if they are wanting to grow, what are some of the things that top performing advisors do differently in regards to seminars than maybe the average ones?
I think whether it's seminars or anything from a marketing perspective, they don't treat seminars as one-off events. Mm-hmm. They treat them kind of as a system. We find that consistency is what ultimately drives the outcome. Anybody can lay an egg on one seminar, potentially 2, but if someone runs 6 seminars with us, they are ours for life for the most part. That's because they've seen a pretty significant ROI.
Yeah.
The people who are one and done, I think that's the real challenge, and I think that's what you see with a lot of advisors. They try things once, and then they're on to the next shiny object.
Yeah, we do tend to be shiny object people in general. So is 6 kind of the magic number that you found that once they have those 6, then they typically will continue?
If they get 6 under their belt, our retention is north of 99%.
Wow.
Of those customers.
Yeah.
They will have a demonstrable ROI for sure after 6. And again, some people, it'll take a little bit longer because they're not comfortable in front of crowds, or
Sure.
some people who are may reach that threshold in 1 or 2 events. But 6 is usually the magic number by which people stick with it as long as they're growth minded.
Yeah. And I think that's the key right there is they have to be growth minded. You have to want to grow. If you are not wanting to grow, then it's just not for you in general. But you also talk a lot at the firm about data and being driven by data, and it's all over the site. And I know just who you are with the index that you guys have all released, which was incredible. If you don't have that, we can link it here at the bottom as well in the show notes. But just such cool data. What are kind of 2 or 3 metrics that advisors should be looking at that they're probably not looking at in terms of seminars?
I think, first I'll hit you with something that I think they all look at that they probably over-index on, which is a response rate.
Okay.
So a response rate is something everybody pays attention to, but it's more about who's in the room, not how many. So the data points I would suggest are, making sure we have the right investable assets in the room, making sure we have the right readiness and mindset and age, and those are variables that really make a difference way above and beyond response rate.
Yeah, that's huge. And how are you guys helping advisors with those kind of data points?
Well, what we try to do at the front end is have a conversation with the advisor. Who is your, ICP, ideal client profile? What do they look like? What is their age? What is their investable asset level? What are you looking for? Are there niches that you're pursuing?
Sure.
Once we do that, we have a database that we call Prospectics that has probably about 450 data points on virtually every adult in the country, and those data points are gathered from both public and private sources. So then you hone in on the target, and if you're using digital, we are going to make sure we are targeting the neighborhoods with those folks. If we're using direct mail, we're going to target the specific households with those people in it.
Okay, so is that a proprietary platform, like no other seminar channels using that?
It's our data platform, and what makes it really proprietary is the fact that it integrates with our LeadJig platform, which is customer facing. So customers can actually see who's registering and look at those consumers and understand kind of age, income, asset level, where they went to school, vocational history. All of those things are in that database. So when an advisor goes to conduct a seminar, they're pretty well schooled on who's in the room.
And who's in the room. I mean, part of me is like, it's a little creepy. I know we all do it and everybody does it. And it is. It's like they know you so much. But you talk a lot about know before you go. And having like the right actual access to the correct people is massive, because you don't want to waste money on people that aren't going to be a good fit or maybe aren't going to align with your vision and who you can serve. You don't want to just feed people. That's not the point. So we can go volunteer at a soup kitchen if you want to feed people. We don't need to do it at a dinner seminar.
I mean, it really changes the conversation from a generic presentation to a more targeted conversation, right? When you know who's in the room, instead of kind of hoping what resonates with the people in the room, you can speak directly to the people who are actually sitting there, and it just materially improves the conversation. You know who they are, you know what they have, and you can make a pretty good educated guess on what their concerns are, and that just makes for a more empathetic and better conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk a lot about digital versus mail as well. And this kind of leads into who you're gathering, because different people respond differently, whether it's from digital or whether it's mail, and it has to be very targeted. Why is that maybe the wrong way to think about it, doing digital or mail? And what's your kind of feedback on maybe combining the two of them and doing both?
I think candidly, I think it's essential that you do both. If you think about it, and people will always come to us and say, isn't the mailbox dead? But if you really think about it, almost every consumer in the country goes to their mailbox every single day and sorts through their mail. Is this a bill I have to pay? Is this garbage and I'm going to throw it out, or is this something I'm interested in and I'm going to, think about, which might be an invitation to a seminar. At my house, my wife is doing that every single day. And she'll set stuff on the counter for me to look at. I don't ever go to the mailbox. My wife does.
Okay.
That said, I'm in front of my computer probably 11, 12 hours a day. And if I'm going to come across something, I will share it with her, but it will almost always be digitally.
Yeah.
So in the same household, same investable asset level in that household, but how you're communicating and who you're communicating and who you're reaching can be very different with those two medium.
Yeah, I love that example because it's very personable, and it's also it's like you said, the same exact household, the same exact investable assets, probably similar age, style, retirement plans. But it's two totally different channels. So, and it's true. And I think for so many years, I've heard everybody say dinner seminars are dying. They're old. They're not sexy anymore. They're just dying. And every year we release a study, and they're one of the absolute still top marketing funnels. And so how do you even combat that? Do you have to convince people that they're important, or how do you kind of hone in on that narrative?
Well, there's a couple things. We talk about our growth rate, and our growth rate has been tremendous. We talk about the growth rate in dinner seminars or educational workshops. Both are growing at an unbelievable amount. It's also where I'll lean in on Track That Advisor. I'll talk about, hey, look, the reason people are doing these is because they work. I can show you a $3.50 or $4 for every dollar spent in year one kind of response, and you don't have to believe me. There's a third party that will validate those numbers. And if you don't pay attention, then you may not want to grow.
Yeah, and it's true. And I love that we get to be the data people because we can't lie about the data. We're so Switzerland. We're not pushing the narrative that dinner seminars work for fun or for a fee. We're pushing the narrative that they work because they do work. And we see that in the data. And they're just tried and they're proven, and they're not the shiny object, but they're absolutely so worth doing. So I know I'm
so glad we don't have to bribe you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would love, maybe on the side. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's so true. And that's what's fun about data. It just tells the story, and even it just really shows and proves things. And I think especially as we kind of come up on this largest wealth transfer that we'll probably see in our lifetime that's coming, how should clients be thinking about client acquisition differently?
Well, you should recognize that your churn rate or the number of defections are going to increase. But you should also think about if you think about RMDs, right? Required minimum distributions. If you look at those, and let's not even talk about the wealth transfer, this is going to happen before the wealth transfer. If you look at the age of the population, the RMDs are going to go from $100 billion to $900 billion over the next 10 years. And guess what? That's money out of the advisor's pocket. So the need for growth is substantial. And then you take in the great wealth transfer. That means, how many of, G2s, how many of the next generation am I going to be able to, control, maintain? I know when my parents passed, I did not stick with the advisor I had, and I don't think I'm unique in that. In that realm. So I just think that with organic growth from referrals or custodial leads somewhere in the 2 to 3% range, you're going to have to think about how do you replace even if you're in a lifestyle business, how do you replace that revenue, or how do you replace that AUM that is going to move at some point?
Yeah. And I think that's also where that digital piece comes in, because I think a lot of the next generation is going to be more digitally prone versus more male style. So we'll see. I think it'll play out interesting.
Yeah, I still think, I'll be a defender of the mailbox for a long time, because if I think about the mailbox, it's the only thing I have to actually physically hold and make a decision on.
Yeah.
I can scroll through digital ads pretty quickly. I don't always, but I could. The mailbox, I think, it's funny. If you look at it and you say, it's been dying for years, our response rates haven't changed one iota.
Interesting.
In the past 15 years for the mailbox.
Really?
And digital has been, and if you look at share of time with the consumer, digital has obviously surpassed anything to do with any printed materials, period. But our response rates haven't changed a lick.
That's really interesting. And so, okay, once they do respond and they do get the butts in the seats, where do you see the breakdown usually happening if they're not following through completely?
I would tell you, if you get a room full of consumers who are coming there to see you speak on a specific topic, typically it is typically a shortcoming of the presentation or the presenter.
Okay.
And that's not fun to say or easy to say, but we
Yeah.
recognize that as a deficit because all people aren't great in front of a room. But more importantly, almost anybody can be capable in front of a room. They just don't know how to.
Yeah.
So we have this thing called AcquireUp University online, and it's got hundreds of videos and assets of how to open a seminar. Even full seminars delivered by who I would consider to be true masters at delivering seminars. You can sit through and watch and understand what you should do and what you shouldn't do. More often than not, they think the job is done when the room's full. It's not even half done at that
That's
point.
when it's starting, realistically.
It really
You're
is.
starting. And I think that's honest. I think that's truthful. I think that's hard love is sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's you, and you need to go back and use the resources that are being given through AcquireUp and use those properly. Change your story.
Yeah, if you get 20 at bats or 40 at bats for a single campaign, and you don't get on base once, it may not be the pitcher.
Yeah, this is true. I know so many advisors are going to be like, man, maybe I should take that into consideration. And it's the tough love from Greg. So that's your hot minute for the day.
We've got advisors who or firms that have presenting advisors and servicing advisors,
Yeah.
because there are some people who are exceptional in front of the room, and some people who are candidly better financial advisors than the people who are in front of the room. So in some instances, it works out to be a very good partnership. Now, most of the firms we work with, that's not the case. It's the same person who's presenting is who you're going to meet with ultimately if you're looking to engage with an advisor.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's what makes AcquireUp different than other firms is you really help teach them, not just say, hey, we'll help you fill the room, but we're going to actually teach you?
I think there's a couple things that set us apart. One is exactly that. So if you think about it, it's about getting them at bats, but getting them quality at bats by making sure the right people are in the room, and then making sure that when they get the at bat that they're ready for it, right? So that's what AcquireUp University does.
Yeah.
We also will follow up post-event to make sure that the follow-up sequence is handled properly. The other things that set us apart, truly, one of which I talked about earlier, is that database and lead jig. Lead jig allows the advisor to really know who's in the room before they give a presentation. That clearly helps the batting percentage.
Yeah.
The other thing that we do that's a little bit different, and this was the legacy white glove business, is we will offer a seminar where you're only going to pay for the households in attendance.
Interesting.
So, you don't have to, we'll mitigate the risk or wear some of the risk with you. You will only pay for the people who attend. So there's a bunch of different ways that I think we've differentiated ourselves in this space, and those are a few of them.
Do you feel like most people take on that approach that they pay for the people that come, or do you feel like most people have that exchange of trust quickly and they're like, nope, we'll pay you because we understand the value?
It's typically almost, we have plenty of customers in both buckets, to be honest with you. But what you'll find is a little bit of a migration. If I'm getting my feet wet and I'm new to this, I may want the safety net of I'm only going to pay for the people who show up. But once I've done that a few times, I feel confident that I can fill a room or that the room will be filled. And just being candid, it's a slightly less expensive way to go about it if there is no guarantee in place, if there is no pay for attendees only.
Yeah, which is fair.
A migration.
Yeah. Okay. And typically, on average, how many seminars do you feel like most people do in a year? Is it super varied? Or, I mean, you have some that probably do 2, and then you have some that do 200.
Yeah, we have firms we work with that'll do 12 to 20 a month.
Okay.
And we have, the once a quarter guy who, that's what he's got capacity for. So it's all over the board.
Okay. So it's a pretty spread apart depending. So it's something for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, our average customer would do probably in the neighborhood of 6 a year, 5 to 6 a year.
Okay. And if there's
So
no, go ahead.
You've got both ends of it.
Yeah.
You've got the onesies and you've got the 200s.
Yeah. And I know obviously it's going to be a bit biased because you guys are very pro seminar, but if you have an advisor that's just like, hey, I'm really not sure, I think that this is the channel I should start, but I'm unsure, what would you say to that advisor?
I would say let's talk through it. Let's make sure that you feel confident. And so we have a team of about 24 what we call marketing consultants.
Yep.
So they sit down and kind of walk through, here are the topics, here are the types of venues you could choose, here's the training material you have. Let's make sure somebody is comfortable before they take a step off the ledge. So we'll try and get you comfortable, and again, we'll put that performance model in place too. If you're unsure because you don't think the room will get filled, we'll put a safety net in there. If you're not sure because you don't know that you can do this, we'll train and kind of bring you up to speed as best we can.
Yeah, I think that's too what I've just personally been seen from the AcquireUp group is it's very quality people, and you really do care about the people you work with. And I see that from everybody from the marketing consultants all the way to you as the CEO, to Alex as the founder. I think that there's a lot there that you care about the people, and that's huge, and you can't buy that. It's just a really big piece of the puzzle. So in terms of kind of seminar topics, you've mentioned this. What is kind of the best seminar topics that are hitting right now? Or is it so varied because everybody's different?
I would tell you that the new one and the hottest one for the past, let's call it 18, 20 months, is estate planning.
Yeah.
Because estate planning didn't used to be the realm of a financial advisor. Estate planning, if you were an advisor doing an estate planning seminar, you thought you were either playing in an attorney's sandbox or you had an attorney at your side.
Yeah.
Right now, because of platforms, most notably wealth.com that works exclusively with advisors, but there are others, that Estate Guru and others that offer the advisor the ability to produce the documents that an attorney would produce.
Yep.
Or allows a consumer to produce those documents, because the conversation regarding estate planning is really financial planning.
Yes.
No different than taxes and retirement. It's a financial planning conversation. So that one is exceptionally hot, and it's funny because a lot of advisors are still a little bit afraid of it as a topic.
Yeah.
Because they haven't gotten their feet wet. So we think that one's it's starting to blow up, and we think it's got a ton of headroom. But taxes and retirement and Social Security are still, great performers. Everybody needs that advice.
Yeah. So we could start there too. What's one metric that you think every advisor should track weekly in terms of seminars?
There's a number of them, but the one metric I think that they should track is who's attending and who's converting, and look at it from their past seminars. So what I don't think advisors do enough of is recognizing where they had success and replicating that success. Or they sometimes they do the complete opposite, which is, I've run at this venue 5 times in a row, and it's been good, but the last couple it hasn't been as good, and they just don't think about rotating venues. There's a lot of data points that can make them smarter if they test and learn. I just don't think they're particularly good at it. That's one of the reasons we have our marketing consultants, and our marketing consultants, today we'll probably run 90 seminars. Almost every day we're running 90 seminars. So that team's seen an awful lot.
Yeah.
And they can help guide how to look at those data points and actually implement them to do things a little differently.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. You have to talk to your marketing consultants. Like you said, they've seen so many and they're so knowledgeable, and you just have to care enough about the data to ask. And they're kind people, so it's not like but they're going to be hard hitters too. If you're doing a bad job, they're going to tell you that, but wouldn't you rather know that? And then you can understand, okay, this is why, let's get our numbers up, because we know the numbers now. It's so important to know that.
Yeah, and it's still staggering the number of advisors who will sometimes just disregard what is very sound advice built on, thousands and thousands of campaigns. Don't run a seminar in your office.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already paying for my office. I'd like to do it.
Yep.
It won't perform. Okay.
Yep.
And you still have people doing it. We'll do it, but we will throw the red flags up where that event takes place.
I think you have to set expectations properly as well, so that they don't come back and turn the finger to you and say, hey, you know what, you messed up. And it was like, no, we warned you ahead of time. If you want to still take that risk, great, but here's proper expectations, and you can do that with data. That is so critical and so huge. So I love it. The more data points, the better.
You have to be delicate about saying, I told you so.
Yeah. Oh, say it in a kind way. So that's our whole lives, though. So I love it. If there's kind of, as we wrap up here today, what's kind of one big thing you want everyone to know in regards to just marketing in general even? Is it something that you're so passionate about? So just kind of one piece of advice for any advisors that want to market.
I think what's important is that you have a plan. I think one of the challenges, and it's not just in the financial advisor space, it's in almost any business, everybody considers themselves to be a marketer.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that marketing is a discipline, just like any other. And you know this better than I, but marketing is a data-driven discipline. Mm-hmm. It's not a gut feel discipline.
No.
So the ability to take a step back and to see what others are doing and to figure out what the right KPIs are for your marketing, and then hone in on those, test and learn. That's the one thing I think most advisors and candidly most business people get wrong.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's a word to the wise. You just have to be data driven. And I love that what you said. It's not a gut feeling. And we have so many people come to us. I mean, every week it's someone saying, hey, I had this gut feeling, but I don't know. And then once you start to uncover it, it's like, gosh, you were either, yes, you were totally right, or you were completely wrong. And you just got to look at it.
Yeah, gut feeling is a hypothesis, right? And there's nothing wrong with starting with a hypothesis. But the minute you build a hypothesis, figure out how you're going to measure whether that hypothesis is true or not based on results. And people usually fall down there.
Yep. Love it. Word of the wise, track your stuff. So, Greg, where are you tracking today? Kind of as we close, we ask one final question on the Advisor Summit. Where are you tracking, whether it's a personal goal or professional goal? What is happening this year that you want to accomplish?
Oh, there's a lot that we want to accomplish this year. What we really want to accomplish this year is obviously we've, like every corporation in the world, we've got our growth goals and we've got our business KPIs. But more importantly, we're undergoing some, just like almost every company in the world, we're undergoing some infrastructure, some AI implementation and infrastructure. And if you sat back and said, what's your primary goal? Is that goes as well, in application goes as well as it looks on the drawing board.
Yep, which is the goal every time. And you're going to have bumps and you'll have pivots, but at the end of the day, you just want to end at the same place that was on the drawing board for sure. So
what fun is it without bumps and pivots?
Exactly. We don't want a boring life. So I love it. Nope, that's perfect. So Greg, thank you for sharing your knowledge. It was an honor to have you on, and we can't wait to hear more from you.
Always a pleasure. Can't wait to see you again.
Bye.